Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Skald against the Black Priory, where today, after some light research, I feel like I may have stumbled across the story that inspired this particular tale, at least in part. The Thing on the Doorstep, one of his slightly more obscure short stories, which essentially revolves around a wizard who learns to transfer his soul or mind into the bodies of others, thus displacing their own. And it's ultimately discovered the only way to permanently kill him is by cremating the body he's attached to. So while obviously there are some differences here, most notably the peculiar, repeatedly cloned apprentice, you can see some potential implications or inspiration drawn there. Though, of course, we'll have to dig deeper to be sure. The large book appears to be a collection of different obscure alchemical recipes. Flipping through it, you eventually find the entry for salts of Elthanir. Summoning forth that which dwells beyond is one of the most dangerous tasks that a Magos can undertake. What comes through may not always be what was intended. The salts of Elthanir must always be kept at hand when attempting such rituals. It is anti-ethical to that which has been called forth. Strewing it in a circle around the summoning focus confines the outsider. Casting the salts upon the outsider utterly unmakes it. The salts are difficult to create and may only be crafted in a protoplasmic catalyzer. 3 ingredients must be used and added in this precise order. First, add silver salt. Second, add salamander's horn. Finally, add lotus petals. Right, which of course are all things we don't have, so I imagine we'll find them scattered around the dungeon. Feels pretty straightforward. Just need to make sure I keep a clear mental map in my head. Oh, hello, weird shadow monkey. That's new. Shades. Okay. So probably safe to assume they're essentially shadow stand-ins, since a lot of what we've seen in the game does also draw direct inspiration from classic D&D. Yeah, undead immunities. So we can probably also assume some sort of life or strength draining touch. And there it is. Steal life. Gotcha. Oh, wow. Okay, well, turns out they're actually surprisingly fragile. Which suits me just fine. We'll draw the shades, then open them up. Oh, yeah, we're lighting these guys up. They do seem dodgier than most foes we faced, but, you know, that only gets them so far. Especially with a health pool that shallow. Lotus petals. Nice. 1 down, 2 to go. Oh, interesting. Okay, right, yeah, this is where he raises... This is where he raises the apprentices. Educates them, gets them up to, usable standard, question mark? Interesting. Yeah, see, that's kind of the aspect of this story that really throws me. Mind transfer, cremating the previous bodies. That matches up with a story that I've kind of paralleled this to, but... The room ahead of you contains a large stone platform that appears to be hovering in some kind of shaft leading down. As you take your first step into the room, however, the voice of Calipero booms throughout the chamber. No, you've not crafted the salts of Elthanir. You cannot enter the summoning chamber without it. Don't tarry. I can't hold much longer. Right. So back the other way. Oozes. Oh, and weird floaty jellyfish. Interesting. Medusa jellyfish, really. Medusa jellyfish are actually a real thing. They're incredibly poisonous. They just, you know, are usually aquatic. Though I suppose some liberties are to be expected in a setting like this one, especially in the depths of a wizard's tower. Really starting to wish I had invested in fire magic. But we'll make do. Thankfully, once again, they do seem relatively fragile, so even with that bevy of resistances, we should still make short work of them. Oh, okay, wow. So we're just going full trope. Gotcha. Yeah, jellyfish don't normally shoot lightning either, so, you know. No worries, though. As long as we keep them focused on the tanks, we should be fine. Just got to keep an eye on those health levels. Nice. Roland, my man. Ooh, stun. Okay. Wow, they really kind of stack these things. Poison, lightning lash, and now stun too. That's a pretty nasty assortment. Let's get Drina on damage control. Also, yeah, clearly didn't mean to move Ivan onto the front lines. Entirely unintentional. Oof, yeah, they are doing a number on Roland. I think we've got this, though. Go for stun. Thank you, Drina. Push this one back by rolling some breathing room. Nice. Though, if we can get a top off, that would be great. I don't want to necessarily prolong this fight any longer than we have to, considering how much damage these things can do, but we'll see if things line up. All right, finish it. And we're good. Room's clear. Looks like a storage room. Let's see what we've got. Looks like fairly standard, relatively low value. Oh, nope, there we go. Silver salt. Nice. So 2 down, 1 to go. We just need the, Ooh, hello there. Oh, it does in fact go deeper. Okay. Interesting. We'll hold off on that for now. And this is either our catalyzer or our cloning machine. This appears to be some sort of exotic alchemical crafting device. However, at the moment, it appears to be somewhat inactive. Right. So I think that connects back to the capsules we passed on the way in. Yeah. And then that's this is the library we came through right at the beginning of the episode. So if we loop back around this way. Yes, okay. So there's our catalyzer. But then we also have this. A large drain is set into the floor. Though you cannot tell where the chute beyond leads, you could easily fit in, should you dare. Oh no, goodness, hard pass. That is a literal nightmare. Also, we have a perfectly good stairway, just like 2 rooms north. Oh, hello there. Strange creatures, seemingly composed of fire and molten lava, stand around a large arcane machine of some sort. They appear to be swaying, and you almost get the impression they're drawing energy from the machine, almost as if feeding upon it. One of the creatures suddenly appears to notice you. One by one, they turn to face you. It seems they are protective of their food source. Magma ooze. Right. So, obviously, if we clear these things out, we'll be able to boot the alchemical catalyzer back up. Though, once again, as with most of our ooze-based foes, I imagine these things are resistant to mundane weapons, immune to crits and backstabs. That is getting a bit old at this point. Oh, okay. Though I will say, they are definitely mixing things up a bit with these fights. I mean, thus far, we haven't had any sort of repeat battles, despite the overriding ooze theme. You know, we had the life-draining shades, we had the lightning jellyfish. Now these fire-spewing magma oozes. So that at least is keeping things fresh. Oh, goodness. You know what? We might need to pound some potions. Let's, I think we've got a few resistance pots stockpiled. I also do get a bit of a kick out of how wibbly-wobbly the animation on these guys is. If we do start running into repeat battles or redundant battles, I'll start fast-forwarding. But thus far, I feel like they've kept it fresh enough to justify letting them play out in full. We'll go for a top off. Nice. That one's primed for a top off too. Nice again. Thank you, Ivan. No top off this time. Though that does leave it primed. Yeah, what the heck. Let's go for one more. That will do. Kind of wild that Ivan has somehow ended up being our most prolific healer. The strange machine appears to hum with latent energy. It appears to have been damaged by the strange fire creatures that occupied the room, but you'd think you could probably reactivate it through some trial and error. The droning hum coming from the machine rises in pitch, and a subtle vibration can be felt through the floor now. You believe you've reactivated this device, though to what end, you're not certain. No, I'm pretty sure we know what we did. I am fairly certain we have reactivated the catalyzer, also possibly the cloning tubes. The device hums with life, and you get the impression it's ready for use. And I believe we've cleared this whole level, so let us delve deeper. Via stairs, please. Not the drain. Though we will try the drain if we can't figure out where it lets out. Oh. Interesting. Defective clones, perhaps? Well, that's not. I mean, I assume not. Though that might actually be our salamander. We'll keep poking around for now, but we'll hit that on the way back out, if need be. Oh, interesting. We're in some sort of fungal caves. You know, that might be the source of his cloning material. More oozes. Oh, gross. Flesh oozes. Okay, well, you know what? I think we are starting to get some general idea of where Calipero might be harvesting his raw materials for his infinite apprenti. Resistant, of course. Also, is that a pile of ash there? We might actually be positioned beneath the gold sarcophagi. Okay, so these guys cause disease and bleeding. But otherwise, I'm not really seeing anything that poses a significant threat. I think we can speed through this one. Lovely. And we are victorious. With a level up and some parting disease. Both of which we'll tend to now. The person you were when you began this journey is now nothing but a distant memory. You are irrevocably changed, and no matter what comes next, you will never be who you once were. Well, that's just called life. Also death. Let's push for decap. We'll have 1 point left over, but that's fine. Yeah, we'll just have an extra floating point for the next level or two. And how about this? This cave opens up into the sheer cliff wall beneath the tower. Piled on the ledge is a great heap of ash that the wind occasionally carries away in great wisps. Carefully, you prod the pile, only to find a small handful of scorched human bones and teeth. Looking around, you see a grate in the ceiling above from which the ash appears to have been dumped. Yep, that certainly tracks. Some nice, gritty details. How about the other side? And yet more ooze. Risen oozes. Also, I'm fairly certain this is below the drain, so I'll double check off screen, but I'm fairly certain we can skip that. It likely would have just dropped us right into the middle of this mess. Yeah, this seems pretty straightforward. Room clear. And, hold on, let me walk the perimeter real quick, but I think this is essentially just a basin you get dumped in if you go down that drain. Which I think does primarily just serve as, like, a more obvious access to the lower levels. Should you, for whatever reason, happen to lack the awareness or perception to otherwise perceive that hidden door that we used. And given the distinct lack of salamanders, I'm guessing we do have to crack open those cells. So let's see if we can actually do that without opening all of them. Aha! Not exactly an easy check, but it is indeed possible. Let's grab our salamander horn and go. Also, let's hope this guy's backstab compatible. Salamanders do have spines. Yes, thank you. My goodness. Nice. And there's our horn. Which does mean we technically have everything we need, but I would like to at least see what these guys' deal is. Hi. Oh, frost shades. Interesting. Not what I would have expected. I honestly really kind of figured they were like hybrid humanoid oozes. Some sort of transitional phase between the oozes. I think it's implied that Calipero is using as the base for his clones, and the actual clones themselves. But no, apparently it is instead some sort of ice-based undead. So I think, in theory, we can still kind of see, we can get, like, the gist of how he's doing the cloning. The oozes do seem highly adaptable, very transmutative, based on the things they're exposed to, like the flesh oozes we saw around the ash pile. And then he's also clearly experimenting with the undead, perhaps to give them a better semblance of life, using his catalyzer to shape or train the ooze to take on at least a temporary form of an apprentice, then imbuing it with a more lifelike essence via his experiments with the undead. We did run into the shades back in the training area. Maybe that's why the apprentices we encountered in the clone room were still essentially inarticulate animals. Withered hand. That's actually useful. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and knock out the rest real quick. Yeah, I will say, though, I kind of wish they'd included more lore objects. It feels like they've gotten pretty sparse the past few dungeons. Even though in at least some cases it really did feel like there were specific spots there should have been some. You know, the desks back in the keep in Haren, or in the Baron of Fergal's mansion. I mean, he had an empty desk right out front at one point. You know, I'm doing my best to piece things together based on the context clues that we're getting from the enemies we're encountering and how these dungeon areas are laid out, but that can only get me so far. But, you know, we'll see what Calipero has to say. Perhaps he can spell a few things out for us. I do love speculating, but at the same time, I also do kind of like the validation of finding out just how close I might have actually been. Like in Fergal, at least, I was way off. Right up until they dropped the verses straight out of King in Yellow. That was the point where it all just kind of clicked. But in this case, I'm still a bit mystified. I mean, I'm seeing hints of the thing on the doorstep, Herbert West Reanimator, the thing from beyond the threshold that Calipero summoned could be a reference to any number of stories. There was also a fairly obscure story Lovecraft wrote that was called Ashes, which, despite the title, I don't think influenced this story at all, but that one was interesting too, because it was about a professor who created a chemical weapon that quickly reduced anyone you injected it into to a fine white ash. And I tried to draw parallels between that and this, but there just don't seem to be any aside from the presence of ash, which, at least in the case of the thing on the doorstep, is much better paralleled with the elements of cremation present in this story, as opposed to an injected bioweapon. When we first came down here and saw the mushroom cave area, my thoughts immediately turned to the idea that perhaps he was using the fungal doppelgangers like we encountered in the crypt and at the bottom of the well back on the beach as the basis for his clones. But then they immediately jumped back into the whole ooze theme, which seems to be something completely separate. Though, actually, I suppose the only other place we have encountered oozes was in the sacrificial chamber under the lighthouse. I want to say they came out of the organ jars around the 2 mummified corpses. That's where we got the ritual dagger that we've still got Cat using, since we've never found anything better. And as I recall, there were basic cult marks in that tomb, so I suppose we do still theoretically have an eldritch connection here. I don't know. I suppose I'll hold off on further speculation until we confront Caliparo and get a better idea of what's really going on in here. I'm just kind of flailing wildly at the moment, lashing out in every direction in hopes of landing a hit. But we just really need something more solid to anchor our speculation in. Alright, cells clear. Let's go craft our salts of Elfenir. Which I will say is a partial anagram for Nyarlathotep. Minus the tep. We'll go ahead and grab Storm of Steel for Roland, why not? Basic low damage aura attack, don't really need it, but not much else to grab. And up we go. Let's get salty. Taking great care to place the ingredients in the catalyzer in the correct order, the process of transmutation begins. Loud mechanical noises and hisses of steam sound as the machine vibrates violently. Then, to your amazement, a beaker emerges, filled with a cerulean substance that, no doubt, is the salts of Elfenir. It seems you have done what Caliparo asked you to do. Now you must make your way down into the summoning chamber and prepare to face whatever you find there. You know, what would be a fun twist is if we found out the thing menacing Caliparo is one of his clones, left to learn and grow too long, and now resistant to being simply disposed of. Though the salt certainly imply it's something summoned, so I guess we'll see. The plate set into the floor bobs slightly as you step onto it. It appears to be a kind of elevator, leading down to the level below. Howling winds scream through these halls. Though you feel it clawing at your exposed skin, there is something strange about it. A ghost wind, only partially of the material world, the other half coming from beyond. No doubt Calipero's summoning chamber lies ahead. Oh, what's going on here? A large square slab with small holes carved in it appears to be placed over some sort of shaft, sealing it shut. You attempt to look through one of the holes, but are knocked back by an unbearable stench emitting from below. But wait, was there something else? Movement? The slab seems too heavy to lift, and just as well. You have an overwhelming feeling that what is trapped in the shaft below was not meant for mortal eyes to see, and is best left in the dark. Oh, weird. Why line the hallway with 6 of these? Alright, well. The howling witch winds rise as you push south into what must be the summoning chamber. Emerging from the central pool is a great whirling plume of black smoke. Bluish light flashes inside it like lightning and, for a few mercifully brief moments, illuminates something vast swimming inside the smoke. Oh, here we go. The thing claws at the threshold of reality, desperate to break through, like a drowning man trapped under the thinnest of ice sheets. Standing in front of the hideous thing is a single-robed human figure. Calipero, no doubt. Encased in some glimmering sphere of force, Calipero's form is utterly frozen in time. Nonetheless, his statue-like form conveys superhuman effort. He has held the monstrosity from beyond at bay this long, but his grip is no doubt failing. Roland, the salts! Let's shake this thing loose! Roland flings the vial at the pillar of black smoke, and you watch in awe as the salt ignites, turning the pillar from a pillar of smoke to a pillar of multicolored flame instead. Something screams in terror from beyond. At first the roar of some great beast. Then the whimper of a child. Then suddenly, all is quiet, and the thing is no more. You reel from the shock of the unmaking, and for a moment your vision is obscured by the bright afterimages of the arcane light. Slowly your eyesight readjusts to the now darkened chamber, and you see the Magos rising slowly to his feet. Calipero, I presume? The man who stands before you looks much like his apprentices, or perhaps it is more accurate to say they look a lot like him. For no doubt, this is the original. He regards you with cold eyes, head slightly cocked to one side, but says nothing. You open your mouth to speak and he snaps his fingers. A rush of air and sudden vertigo, and then you are somewhere else. Ah, well. So, it was you who came to the aid of Calipero the Tempestuous. I will say this much. You have done me a great service. For that, I am eternally grateful. Here is a small token. He gestures to one of his apprentices, who limps over to you and reverently hands you a large sack filled with coin. But there is more to you, Calipero muses. You are a traveler of sorts, yes? Someone on a quest? I may have much to offer you yet in terms of aid. You cannot help but notice his gaze lingers for a moment too long on Embla, standing behind you. Yeah? Care to elaborate on that, or should I start guessing? Well, whatever do you need? Ah, I see. He's a vendor. Interesting. Well, I will certainly take a gander at his wares, but first I would like some answers. What's up with your apprentices? Ah, yes, my loyal apprentices. Their joy in life is to serve. And they do serve me well, don't you think? He pats one of them on the cheek, only to have the man's nose start bleeding profusely. They are a bit tired, however. My absence has been a burden on them. Yeah, I'll bet. I imagine you usually incinerate them before they get quite this bad. I found your, ascension machine. Is that so? Calipero's face twists into a cruel smile. Thankfully, my sons do not have the capacity to question my actions. Their greatest joy in life is serving their master, and their ascension is the greatest reward their limited minds can imagine. Oof. Check out the Calipero on this guy. So, tell me, oh mighty Calipero, how'd you fuck things up so bad in the summoning chamber? Calling forth that which lies beyond is no task for a lesser Magos. However, I am not a lesser Magos. The Aether serves at my will, and there are very few secrets that the Veil can keep from me. Alas, it was not so this time. What answered my call was something different. Something much more powerful than I expected. Calipero fixes you with an intense stare. The conjunction is growing in strength. It is much closer to our world. So close, in fact, that it has begun to seep through. But you already know this, don't you? His gaze shifts to Embla. You're talking about this dragon? The apprentices howl in terror and cover their ears. Its 7 eyes are fixed on the outer isles. Something has been found that was perhaps never intended to see the light of day again. That is why you are traveling to the Black Priory. Huh. Maybe you really are the real deal. What can you tell us about the Black Priory? I went there, dancing across the silver void. I saw only shadows, but I saw enough. There are secrets in the deep, ancient secrets. Enough to draw the 7 eyes there. That is all I can say. Cool, thanks. Super useful. Alright, Calipero, since I can't stab you in the throat, I guess I will look at your wares. Certainly. My vaults hold countless wonders for you to peruse. His eyes glint in a way that does not appear wholly natural. Ooh, okay. So yet another magic item vendor, who, once again, has no magic war axe to offer. Oh, but wait, is that magic plate mail I spy? Full plate of thievery, come on. I mean, it is still a significant step up, though. Yeah, sure. I mean, 2,000 gold, we can easily afford that. I'll definitely grab that. Let me just get a gander at the rest of his stuff here. I'll need to make sure that I don't overextend if there's anything else that's really worth grabbing. Oh, yeah, see, like that. Actual stat boosting items as opposed to just skill boosting items, those are ideal purchases. Helm of Agility might be a good get for Cat. Ring of Presence, nice. Skull Necklace of Strength. Okay, yeah, I mean, we definitely see at least a few items here that are worth grabbing, plus potential spellbooks. Though it does also appear that he offers less gold when buying items back, which I suppose does make sense. That would fit his perceived character. So yeah, we'll hold on to all our vendor trash until we get back to the boat. I believe we get almost 50% from that guy. Which I suppose brings us to a good place to call it. I've got to say, you know, this adventure, although very stereotypical high fantasy fare, did end up feeling a bit underwhelming, especially when contrasted directly against Fergal, which is just across the island. Although there were some interesting aspects to this one, it focused much more heavily on just kind of sloggy combat, which I don't feel is Skald's strong suit. But, you know, it was just a 2-episode investment, so I can't really complain. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now. We'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, double-check a few things around the tower, and we'll pick up here next time. I think we're down to our last island or two, so I mean, the end is indeed nigh. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.